Hello everyone, my name is Ksenia and I'm an illustrator and graphic designer. In today's class, we're gonna create cute vector animals in Adobe Illustrator. During the class, we're gonna be working with the simple shapes and a bunch of tools to create nice looking illustrations. As a result, you'll learn how to use the different tools of Adobe Illustrator and will be able to make simple animals. You can use the final pictures as stickers, postcards, pattern, some digital product or whatever you want. So if you are ready, launch your software and let's begin. As been said before, today we're creating vector animals by using the simple shapes in Adobe Illustrator. So firstly, let's create the workspace. We will select any preset you like, go to the preset details and set our canvas to 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. Go to this drop-down menu and select pixels. Then go to the width and height boxes and write down 1000 pixels for each box. Let's check out the advanced options and make sure that the color mode is RGB and the raster effects are high or 300 ppi. When it's all done, let's just hit create. So here's our canvas and we will start by setting up the workspace. Firstly, we need to go to the tab View and choose Rulers, Show Rulers. You can see that now we have the ruler on the top and the ruler on the left side. And when we have the rulers, we need to create the guideline that will go through the center of the canvas. Let's go to the left toolbar and select the Line Segment tool. With the Line Segment tool, we need to create the vertical line that will go from the top of the canvas to the bottom. Go to the top edge, hold down the Shift key and draw the straight line going from the top to the bottom. When we have the needed line, we will release the left mouse button and we will release the Shift key on the keyboard. When we have this line, we need to put it right in the middle on the canvas. So let's go to the Properties panel. If you don't have the Properties panel somewhere on the right, you can go to the tab Window and select Properties here. Into the Properties panel, we can change the values. When we have this line that we just created selected, we can write down 500 pixels into the X box and that will shift the line right in the center. The size of our canvas is 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels and therefore the center will be at 500 pixels. So let's make sure that the line is selected, go to the X box and write down 500 pixels. Now you can see that it is strictly in the center. The next step is to turn the line into the guide. Let's click on it with the right mouse button and choose Make Guides. You can notice that it changed its color and it's not the line anymore, it's a guide. When we set up the canvas, we can start creating our first elements. And the first element will be an ellipse that will represent the face. So let's go to the left toolbar and select the ellipse tool. Hover over the rectangle tool and click on it with the right mouse button. Into the drop-down menu, select the ellipse tool. With the ellipse tool, we need to get back to the canvas and create the circle. To create the circle, hold down the Shift key while making the shape. So let's hold down the Shift key on the keyboard, let's hold down the left mouse button and drag the mouse diagonally down. We need to make sure that the center of the new circle goes through the center of the canvas. You can see that we have two magenta lines, one vertical and one horizontal. And when you are intersecting the center, the vertical line disappears. So when this line disappeared, that means that you are making it right and putting the new shape in the center. We can go to the top toolbar and adjust the stroke weight for a more convenient work. For now, let's just leave it as 2 points. Now we need to adjust the shape, because the face won't be that circular and we need to make it a little bit more face-alike. So we're gonna be changing the placement of the anchor points by dragging them down. Let's go to the left toolbar and grab the Direct Selection tool. Now, if you take a look at the shape, you will see that it has 4 anchor points. We can hover over the anchor points and we can select them separately. For example, to change the shape of the face, we need to select the side anchor points and the top one. Let's hover over the first anchor point and click on it with the left mouse button. You will see that it started to look selected. Now we need to move on and select the opposite anchor point and then the one on the top. Hold down the Shift key to select multiple objects, hover over the next anchor point and click on it with the left mouse button. Let's do the same for the top anchor point. We will hold down the Shift key and click on it with the left mouse button. When all of these anchor points are selected, we need to move them a bit down to adjust the shape. So let's go to the right anchor point, hold down the left mouse button, and we will drag the shape down. You can notice that you can freely move it, and it's not exactly what we need. We need the shape to stay right in the middle of the canvas, so we just need to move it along the guideline without dragging it to the sides. So let's hold down the Shift key and keep moving the shape down until you are satisfied with the shape. When you are ready, unhold your left mouse button and unhold the Shift key on the keyboard. When we have the shape for the head, we can start making the additional elements. The first animal that we'll make is gonna be the bunny, so let's start with the ears. Let's go to the left toolbar and grab the selection tool. With the selection tool, we can move the shape a bit down, so we will have the blank space on the top and freely create the ears. You can select the shape and you can use your mouse button to drag it down, or you can use the down arrow key on your keyboard. When you're done, let's move on to creating the ears. For the ear, we will need to create the elongated ellipse. So let's get back to the left toolbar and select the ellipse tool. With the ellipse tool, make the elongated ellipse, so don't hold down the Shift key on the keyboard. We will make it just a bit longer than the height of the face. Now we need to rotate it and position it on the head. Firstly, let's rotate it. Hover over one of the bounding box corners until you see the two sides arrow. Hold down the left mouse button and move it clockwise or counterclockwise depending on the corner that you are dragging. Adjust the placement, get back to the selection tool and move the shape the way you like it. If you want to adjust the size, you can drag the side anchor points to the side. So adjust and position it the way you like it, and let's work a bit on the top anchor points. We will make these anchor points not that smooth. Go to the left toolbar, hover over the pen tool and click on it with the right mouse button. Into the drop-down menu, select the anchor point tool. Zoom the canvas by hitting Ctrl+ a few times and reach this anchor point on the top. Click on it with the anchor point tool. You can see that we turn this anchor point into a sharp corner. Now we can make this corner not that sharp and find the right smoothness. Hover over this anchor point with the anchor point tool, hold down the left mouse button and drag the anchor point to the sides. Without releasing the left mouse button, adjust the curvature of the lines and the smoothness of the corner. When you are satisfied with the result, unhold your left mouse button. Now let's move on and create the inner part of the ear. Firstly, we need to make a copy of the ear elements. When the shape is selected, hit Ctrl+C, Ctrl+Shift+V on the keyboard. That will make a copy and we'll paste it right at the same place. When we have the copy, we need to resize it to create the inner part of the ear. Hold down the Alt key on the keyboard and drag one of the upper corners diagonally down. You can adjust the size of this element. Hold down the Alt key to make sure that you are resizing it from the center. When you are satisfied with the size, let's unhold the left mouse button and unhold the Shift key on the keyboard. Now you can once again adjust everything. You can select the shape, move it down by using the arrow keys on the keyboard. You can select both of the shapes and move them in accordance with your vision. When you're satisfied with the placement, let's create the copy of these two elements on the other side. Firstly, we need to select both of these shapes. Now go to the left toolbar and select the Reflect tool. Hover over the Rotate tool and click on it with the right mouse button. Into the drop-down menu, select the Reflect tool. Let's zoom the canvas, and here you can see that with the Reflect tool we have a little blue target. We need to put it right in the center to create the copy on the other side at the same distance. You can notice that you have the cross instead of the cursor. Hover over the guideline and click on it with the left mouse button to put the target on it. Now we need to do the following. Hold down the Alt key on the keyboard, and when the cursor changed to the double arrows, we need to hover over these selected objects, hold down the left mouse button and drag the objects to the other side. You can notice that we can freely move and rotate this object. But we need to put it right on the same line that our previous ear is. So let's hold down the Shift key and you will see that you are not allowed to freely move it anymore. But now we can be sure that the new shape will be on the same line. When you found the perfect placement, let's unhold your left mouse button and all the keys on the keyboard. Now we have two ears and you can see that we have a little problem. The ears are overlapping the face shape. Into this class, we are not going to be connecting these parts together. We'll start recoloring the objects right away and we will rearrange them the way they won't overlap each other. So let's start recoloring the objects. In the Project and Resource tab, you can find the color scheme document. You can download it and open it into your Adobe Illustrator. So if we go straight to the Color Scheme tab, we can see that here we have a bunch of swatches that we're going to be using for our illustrations. Hover over these swatches and click on them with the selection tool to select them. Then hold down your left mouse button, grab the swatches and move them to the main document. Let's put them somewhere where they won't bother us. You might have noticed that they are all grouped now, but we can freely ungroup them and move the needed swatches to the canvas. So let's select the swatches and hit Ctrl-Shift-G on the keyboard. That will ungroup everything. For the bunny, we just need these two swatches. Let's select them both and move them to the canvas. Now we can recolor the face and the ears. So let's select the face with the selection tool, then go to the left toolbar and select the Eyedropper tool. With the Eyedropper tool, we can hover over this swatch, click on it with the left mouse button, copy the appearance of this swatch and apply it to the shape that we selected. Let's hover over the gray swatch and click on it with the left mouse button. Now you can see that the face changed its appearance. Let's move on and recolor the ears. Firstly, we need to go and grab the selection tool and select both the main parts of the ears. Then go to the left toolbar, select the Eyedropper tool and again copy the appearance of this gray swatch. The last thing that we need to do here is to recolor the inner parts of the ears. So again, we will get back to the left toolbar, grab the selection tool and we will select both of these objects by holding down the Shift key. When these objects are selected, we will get back to the left toolbar, select the Eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of the pink swatch. When we recolored everything, we need to rearrange the objects by sending the ears elements backwards. So let's select all 4 elements, click on them with the right mouse button and choose Arrange Send to Back. Now we have the perfect placement for these elements. And again, if you want, you can adjust the size and the placement of the ears. Play around and find what looks best. So when we have the base, let's move on and create the face features. Zoom the canvas by hitting Ctrl+ a few times. And let's start by creating the eyes. We will go to the left toolbar and select the Ellipse tool. For the eyes, nose and mouth, we're going to be using just the black color. Let's hit the fill box twice and select some blackish tone. Try not to use 100% black because it will be too contrast. When you're done, let's just hit OK. So when we have the color, we're going to be creating the first eye. Grab the Ellipse tool if you haven't done it before, hold down the Shift key and create the circle. When you're satisfied with the size, release your left mouse button and let's adjust the placement. Grab the selection tool, select this object and by using the arrow keys on the keyboard or by using just the mouse, position the eye. To create a cuter face, let's just put it a bit below the center of the shape. When you have the first eye, we need to create a copy on the other side. Let's again go to the left toolbar and select the Reflect tool. With the Reflect tool, we will put the blue target right on the guideline. Now hold down the Alt key, hover over the eye and let's move it to the other side. Don't forget about holding down the Shift key to add the copy on the same line. When you have 2 eyes, let's deselect them. Click on some blank area with the Selection tool. If you want to move them a bit more towards the center, you can select them separately and use the side arrow keys on your keyboard. When you are using the arrow keys, you need to count the amount of clicks that you are making to be able to adjust the second eye in the same way. If you are satisfied with everything here, let's continue adding the new elements. Now we will create the nose. For the nose, we can copy one of the eyes and move it to the center. So hold down the Alt key, move the copy and release it in the center. You can use the arrow keys to adjust the placement. And also, we need to adjust the shape. For this shape, we will go to the left toolbar and select the Direct Selection tool. Zoom the canvas and we will adjust the side anchor points. Hover over the left one and click on it with the left mouse button. Select the next one by holding down the Shift key on the keyboard. When the side anchor points are selected, we will hover over one of them, hold down the left mouse button and drag it a bit up. You can see that the shape is changing. Hold down the Shift key to make sure that you are not tweaking it to the side. When you are done, release the left mouse button. If you think that the shape is too big, you can shorten it by selecting the bottom anchor point and by using the upper arrow key on your keyboard. You can also resize these elements. Grab the Selection tool, hold down the Alt key and let's make it a bit smaller. When we have the nose, we need to create the mouth. For the mouth, we again gonna be using the ellipses. So let's do the following. Firstly, go to the left toolbar and select the Ellipse tool. For this element, we will need just the stroke, so let's swap the color boxes. Hit this little arrow once, and when you have just the stroke, let's create the first circle. Hold down the Shift key while making the shape. Now we need to make the copy on the other side. So let's grab the Reflect tool and put the target right on the intersecting point on the right. Hold down the Alt key and drag the shape to the other side. Hold down the Shift key to make it on one line. Now we have two intersecting shapes. The next step here is increasing the stroke weight. We will select both of these shapes, go to the upper toolbar and hit the upper arrow a few times. For now, let's leave it as 6 points. When we have these two shapes together, we need to get rid of the upper parts. Let's go to the left toolbar, hover over the Eraser tool and click on it with the right mouse button. In the drop-down menu, select the Scissors tool. With the Scissors tool, we can click on the anchor points, thereby making the cut. And as we don't need the upper parts, let's get rid of them by using the Scissors tool. When the left ellipse is selected, hover over the left anchor point and click on it with the left mouse button. Do the same for the right anchor points. Now we can see that only the bottom part of the path is selected, and that's exactly what we need. We can get back to the Selection tool, select the upper part of the ellipse, hit the Delete key on the keyboard and get rid of this part. Let's do the same for the right ellipse. We will select it, we will go to the left toolbar and we will grab the Scissors tool. With the Scissors tool, we will cut our shape right in the middle. So click on one side anchor point and then on the other. Get back to the Selection tool and when the upper part is selected, we will hit the Delete key on the keyboard. You might need to hit it twice to get rid of the whole piece. Now let's select both of these shapes and we will connect them together. When they are selected, click on them with the right mouse button and choose Join. Now this is one solid shape. As we are creating a cute illustration, we don't really need these sharp edges on the lines. So select the shape and let's go to the upper toolbar. Click on the stroke title and you will get into the stroke panel. Here, into the stroke panel, we need to choose the round cap and the round join. You can see that the appearance of the line's ends changed, so did the appearance of the middle anchor point. Close the stroke panel by clicking on the stroke title and let's continue working on the mouth. Now we need just one more element and it will be the simple vertical line. So let's go to the left toolbar and select the Line Segment tool. With the Line Segment tool, we will make the straight line going along the guideline. Make sure that you are holding down the Shift key because we need the straight line. So the line is created, but as we don't have anything here in the boxes, we actually don't have the stroke for the line. So let's grab the Eyedropper tool and we will copy the appearance of this shape that we created for the mouth. When it's done, we will select both the line and the mouth elements and we will group them together. So hit Ctrl G on the keyboard. Now let's play a bit with the placement and the size of the elements. When you are done playing, let's select all the face features and find the perfect placement for them. Move it down or move it up, find what works best for you. Zoom and unzoom the canvas to see what works better. I will leave it more on the bottom part of the face to make the bunny look a bit cuter. The last thing that we will add here are the cheeks. For the cheeks, we will get back to the left toolbar and firstly we will select the eyedropper tool. Copy the appearance of the pink swatch so we will be straightly creating the ellipses with the needed color. Now grab the ellipse tool and let's create the first cheek. Adjust its placement, and when it's done, we will make the copy on the other side. Get back to the selection tool and select this element. Grab the reflect tool and put the target right on the guideline. Hold down the Alt key and drag the object on the other side. Hold down the Shift key to make sure that you are making it on one line. Now let's check out whether we want to fix anything, for example the placement of the elements. And when it's fine, we can select all the face features and we can group them together by hitting Ctrl-G on the keyboard. Now we can adjust the placement of the whole group and find what looks better. Also, we can group the face with the ears, so hit Ctrl-G on the keyboard once again. And that's it for the bunny. In the next part of the class, we're gonna be creating the dog. When we have the bunny, let's continue and make the dog. Firstly, we need to create the new canvas for the new illustration. So let's go to the left toolbar and select the Artboard tool. With the Artboard tool, we will do the following. We will select the artboard that we already have, we will hold down the Alt key and we will drag the copy on the bottom. With the new artboard, we have the copy of the bunny, and we can use some parts into the new illustration. Let's get back to the selection tool and we will add the guideline for this canvas as well. Firstly, grab the line segment tool and then create the vertical line that is going from the top to the bottom. Now go to the Properties panel and when this line is selected, write down 500 pixels for the X value. Close the Properties panel and let's turn this line into the guide. Click on it with the right mouse button and choose Make Guides. Let's continue making the preparations. We don't need the swatches that we use for the bunny, but we need to select the next bunch of swatches and move them to the bottom of the canvas. As you can remember, in the end of the previous part, we were grouping the elements. And as we agreed to use some parts of the previous illustration into the new one, we need to ungroup the copied elements here. For now, let's just select this shape and we will hit Ctrl-Shift-G on the keyboard to ungroup the elements. Let's select the ears and let's get rid of them by hitting the Delete key on the keyboard. Now let's work a bit onto the face elements. Zoom the canvas and let's firstly do the following. Ungroup the face elements, so select them and hit Ctrl-Shift-G on the keyboard. We will get rid of this eye, so select it and hit the Delete key. We will get rid of the bottom part of the mouth, so again hit Ctrl-Shift-G to ungroup it and then select the bottom part and hit Delete. Select this vertical line and let's move it a bit down. Also, we will work on the shape of the nose. So let's select it, zoom the canvas, hold down the Alt key and drag one of the side anchor points more to the side to create the wider shape. You can play a bit with the placement of these elements, and when you're satisfied, let's select them both and group them together by hitting Ctrl-G. Let's move on and work on the eye. Select the eye, zoom the canvas and let's swap the color boxes. We will need just the stroke, so copy the appearance of this stroke that we have on the mouth. Grab the eyedropper tool, hover over this line and click on it with the left mouse button. When we have the circle that is made just from the stroke, we need to get rid of the bottom part of the shape. So again, we will get back to the left toolbar and we will select the Scissors tool. With the Scissors tool, click on the side anchor points. And while the bottom area is selected, hit the Delete key on the keyboard a few times. If you'd like, you can increase the stroke weight for the eye. I will set it as 9 points. And when you're satisfied with the eye, let's make a copy on the other side. So with the Selection tool, select the shape, get back to the left toolbar and grab the Reflect tool. With the Reflect tool, put the blue target on the guideline, hold down the Alt key, hover over the selected shape and move it to the other side by holding down the left mouse button and by holding down the Shift key. When it's all done, let's get back to the Selection tool and play a bit with the placement of the elements. Now let's move on to the ears. So for the ears, we will go and grab the ellipse tool. We will create one ear on the left side and we will make the copy on the other side with the reflect tool. So with the ellipse tool, create the small ellipse and rotate it counterclockwise to have the anchor point on the top. We will work on this top anchor point with the anchor point tool. So go and grab it and then click on the top anchor point to make a sharp edge. Now let's make it a bit smoother. Hold down the left mouse button and just move it to the side to make it not that sharp. Also, if you want to adjust the anchor points and to elongate the shape, for example, you can grab the direct selection tool. Hover over these anchor points, click on it with the left mouse button to select it, drag it up and adjust the shape the way you want. Let's move the shape and put it correctly on the head. Use the mouse and the arrow keys on the keyboard. Resize the shape if you need. And when you're satisfied with the shape, let's make the inner part. Firstly, we will make the copy, so hit Ctrl+C, Ctrl+Shift+V on your keyboards. When you have the copy, let's resize it. Go to one of the top bounding box corners, hold down the Alt key and drag the shape diagonally down. Adjust the placement if you want, use the arrow keys on the keyboard or just the mouse. And when it's done, for our convenience, let's start recoloring the shapes so we can see the inner parts and all the other parts. Now let's select the ear. Grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of this orange swatch. Let's repeat it with the inner part. Select it and copy the appearance of this second swatch. Now select the head and let's pick the beige swatch. For the cheeks, select them both and use the fourth swatch to make them a bit brighter. Now let's just copy the ear on the other side. So select these two shapes, go to the left toolbar and select the reflect tool. With the reflect tool, put the target on the guide, hold down the Alt key and drag the copy to the other side. Hold down the Shift key to make sure that you are adding the second ear on the same line. Now we need to arrange the ears differently and send them backwards. So let's select them, let's hit the right mouse button and choose Arrange Send to Back. If you want to adjust the horizontal placement of the ears, you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard. Try to remember how many clicks you are making because you need to put the second ear at the same distance. I'll move the left ear 10 steps to the left by using the left arrow key. And we'll repeat it with the right ear, so 10 steps to the right. Adjust the vertical placement if you'd like as well. And when you're satisfied with the placement, let's select the ears and let's group them together. So hit Ctrl+G on the keyboards. Now let's add one additional detail for the face. So go to the left toolbar and select the ellipse tool. With the ellipse tool, we will create an ellipse for the differently colored spots. We will recolor it by using this orange swatch. Now it's overlapping everything and we can't see the eye and can't adjust it nicely on the face. So let's use the right mouse button and choose Arrange Send to Back. But we will also bring it a few layers up front until it's above the face shape, but we still can see the features. So hit Ctrl+ right square bracket a few times until you have the needed results. Now let's adjust it on the face, find the placement and resize it if it's needed. And when you played enough with the shape, let's get rid of the useless part on the left. Now let's select the shape of the head and the new shape for the spot together. We need to go to the left toolbar and select the Shape Builder tool. If you hover over the elements with the Shape Builder tool, you will see that they are starting to look selected. If we click on the areas, we can either create the new shapes or get rid of the useless ones. Now hold down the Alt key on the keyboard and you will see a little minus icon near the cursor. Now hover over the extra area. So when we are holding down the Alt key and when the extra area is selected, we will hit the left mouse button and erase the extra part. Now we can select all the face features and group them together. Play with their placement by using the arrow keys on your keyboard. And that's it for the dog, and the next part will be dedicated to the koala. Now let's move on to the next animal, and it's gonna be the koala. We again will create the new artboard, so select the artboard tool and let's copy the artboard with the dog. Hold down the Alt key and drag the artboard to the right side. And let's set up the canvas. Firstly, let's get rid of the swatches that we used for the dog. Select the next bunch and move them to the bottom of the canvas. And now we need to make the new guideline onto this canvas. Grab the line segment tool and make the line that is going from the top to the bottom. Now go to the Properties panel, and before writing down the number for the X value, we'll do the following. We'll switch the rulers from global to artboards. Click on the top ruler with the right mouse button and choose Change to Artboard Rulers. Now make sure that the line we made is selected and write down 500 pixels into the X value into the Properties panel. Now click on the line with the right mouse button and choose Make Guides. Close the Properties panel and let's start changing the shapes to turn the dog into the koala. Firstly, we'll get rid of the ears and the orange spot shape on the left. We will ungroup the face elements, so select them and hit Ctrl-Shift-G on the keyboard. We'll get rid of the eyes, so select them and get rid of them by hitting the Delete key on the keyboard. Let's ungroup the nose parts, so select them and hit Ctrl-Shift-G. We will get rid of the bottom vertical line and we're gonna be working on the shape of the nose. Let's make it a bit bigger. Hold down the Alt key to increase the size from the center. And now we need to flip the shape horizontally. Click on it with the right mouse button and choose Transform Reflect. Hit the preview box if it's not activated, and we need the horizontal axis to be chosen. When it's done, let's just hit OK. We can again play with the size, and when you're satisfied, let's start recoloring the objects. With this shape selected, we will grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of this purple swatch. Let's select the cheeks and recolor them. Recolor the shape of the head, that will be the darker blue color. And let's move on to the eyes. Deselect the shape, copy the appearance of the nose color, grab the ellipse tool, zoom the canvas and make a circle. Place it the way you like it, and when you have the perfect placement, let's just make a copy on the other side. So select it with the Selection tool, grab the Reflect tool, put the target on the guideline, hold down the Alt key, drag the copy on the other side, and hold down the Shift key to make sure that you are adding it on one line. When we have the face, let's move on to the ears. For the ears, we will simply use the ellipses, but firstly we'll apply the same color for the ears as we have on the hat. So grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of this color. Then grab the ellipse tool and create the circle by holding down the Shift key. Adjust the size, adjust the placement, and when you are satisfied, let's make a copy of this element to create the inner part of the ear. Grab the Selection tool, select the ear and hit Ctrl-C, Ctrl-Shift-V on the keyboard to make a copy and paste it right at the same place. Hold down the Alt key, hold down the Shift key and resize the inner part of the ear. When you are satisfied with the size of the inner part of the ear, let's grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of the lighter blue swatch. And let's create the copy on the other side. Select these two shapes, grab the Reflect tool and put the target on the guideline. Hold down the Alt key and drag the shapes to the other side. Hold down the Shift key to make it on one line. When we have two ears, let's select them both and send them to back. So when they are selected, click on them with the right mouse button and choose Arrange Send to Back. Now let's group the ears together and play a bit with their placement. If you want to adjust any part on the face, for example make the nose bigger, you can do it right now. And when you are satisfied with the placement and with everything you have here, we can once again select all the face features and group them together. So let's just select them and hit Ctrl-G. Play with their placement if you want. And that's it for the koala. The next part is gonna be about the panda. Let's move on to the next animal, and it's gonna be the panda. So as always, we need to create the new artboard. Grab the artboard tool and we will make the copy of the bunny artboard and put it on the right side. So select this artboard with the bunny, hold down the Alt key and drag it to the side by creating the copy. You can hold down the Shift key to make sure that you are adding it on one line. When you have the new artboard, let's get back to the selection tool and make some preparations. We don't need the swatches that we used for the bunny, but we need to bring the new bunch of swatches and put them on the bottom. Now we can move on and add the guideline. So again, grab the line segment tool, create the line going from top to the bottom and then go to the properties panel. Make sure that your rulers are changed to the artboard rulers. And when this line is selected, we will write down 500 pixels for the X value in the properties panel. Close the properties panel, click on the line with the right mouse button and choose Make Guides. Now let's work on the shape. The shape for the head will be left as it is. We will get rid of the ears, so ungroup these two shapes by selecting them and by hitting Ctrl-Shift-G. Get rid of the ears by hitting the Delete key. We won't need the bottom part of the mouth and we won't need such a big eyes. So let's just ungroup all the face elements, zoom the canvas and firstly get rid of the eyes. We will ungroup the mouth part, so select it and hit Ctrl-Shift-G. Select the bottom part of the mouth and hit the Delete key on the keyboard. Let's move the vertical line a bit down and let's play with the shape of the nose. Hold down the Alt key and make it a bit wider. Now let's move on and let's start recoloring the head shape. So select it, grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of the lighter swatch. Recolor the cheeks, so select them and copy the appearance of the pink swatch. Now we need to create these colored parts for the eyes, so let's grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of this dark swatch. Grab the ellipse tool and create the ellipse somewhere on the sides. This time we need the elongated ellipse. We will rotate it and we will move it back to our illustration. You can hold down the Ctrl key while using the ellipse tool to move the shape. Adjust it and rotate it if you need it. Use the arrow keys on the keyboard to place it the way you want. And let's move on to the eye. Take the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of the lighter swatch. Select the ellipse tool and let's create the circle somewhere on this dark shape. Adjust the placement if you need it. And when you're satisfied with everything you have here, let's select these two shapes together, let's grab the reflect tool and put the target on the guideline. We will make the copy on the other side, so hold down the Alt key, hold down the Shift key and make the copy on the other side. Play a bit with the placement of the cheeks. Group the nose elements together by selecting them and by hitting Ctrl-G on the keyboard. Play with the placement of the nose. Put it a bit up to make a cuter face. Select the eyes and let's rearrange them. Click on them with the right mouse button and choose Arrange, Bring to Front. Now we will select all the face elements and we will group them together by hitting Ctrl-G. Play with their placement, move it a bit down or a bit up if you want. And when you played enough, let's just add the ears. For the ears, we will just use the ellipses, but firstly, let's copy the appearance of the darker swatch. Now grab the ellipse tool and let's create the small circle for the ear. Place it on the head and let's make a copy on the other side by using the reflect tool. So when the shape is selected, put the target on the guideline and drag a copy to the other side. Now let's select both of these shapes and we will send them to back by clicking on them with the right mouse button and choosing Arrange, Send to Back. Group the ears together and play with their placement. You can also play with the placement of the features if you want. And when you're satisfied, that's it for the panda. Let's move on to the last illustration and it's gonna be the cat. Let's start by creating one more artboard. Go to the left toolbar and select the artboard tool. We will copy the bunny artboard, so let's select it, hold down the Alt key and drag a copy on the right. Hold down the Shift key to make sure that you are adding it on one line. When it's all done, let's get back to the selection tool and we will make the guideline. Grab the line segment tool and create the line going from the top to the bottom. Go to the Properties panel and let's write down 500 pixels for the X value. Close the Properties panel, click on the line with the right mouse button and choose Make Guides. Now let's continue making the preparations. We don't need the swatches from the bunny, but we need to drag the swatches for the cat to the bottom of the canvas. So move them to the artboard and let's start readjusting the elements. Let's ungroup the face and the ears, so select them and hit Ctrl-Shift-G on the keyboard. Let's get rid of the ears and let's start making adjustments for the face features. Select the face features, ungroup them, and let's start working on these elements. We're going to be using the bottom part of the mouth, but we will make it a bit cuter by making it a bit smaller. So select it, hold down the Alt key and let's resize it. Go to the upper toolbar and increase the stroke weight. Let's say 7 or 8 points will work for now. Adjust the placement of the nose and the mouth elements. Now let's get rid of the eye on the right and we will work on the eye on the left. We will repeat the dog eyes, but we will need the bottom part of the eyes instead of the top part. So firstly, let's swap the color boxes and let's copy the appearance of the mouth path. Move the eye a bit up if it's overlapped by the cheek. Grab the scissors tool and let's divide the ellipse by 2 parts. Go to the side anchor points and click on them with the left mouse button. Get back to the selection tool, select the upper part of the eye and hit the delete key on the keyboard. When we have the shape for the eye, we can play a bit with its placement. Now we will make the copy on the other side. So select the object, go back to the left toolbar and select the Reflect tool. With the Reflect tool, put the target on the guideline and by holding down the Alt key, drag the shape to the other side. Hold down the Shift key to make sure that you are adding it on the same line. When we have the face features, let's add the whiskers. So grab the Line Segment tool and let's make 3 lines on the left side. Grab the Direct Selection tool if you want to play with the placement of the anchor points. For example, let's select the left anchor point on the upper line and use the mouse or arrow keys on the keyboard to adjust it. You can move it up or move it down, and you can use the side arrow keys to adjust the size. Play with all 3 lines until you are satisfied with the result. And when it's done, let's make the copy on the other side. Select the lines with the Selection tool, grab the Reflect tool, put the target on the guideline and make the copy on the other side. Hold down the Alt key and hold down the Shift key to make sure that you are adding it on one line. Now let's play with the placement of the cheeks. And let's move on and recolor all of these lines. So we will select all the strokes that we have here and copy the appearance of the brown swatch. Get rid of the fill box by clicking on the icon None because we need just the stroke. And let's increase the stroke weight. Go to the upper toolbar and set it as 9 points. We also will recolor the nose and then move on to recoloring the shape of the head. So select the shape, grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of the first swatch. Recolor the cheeks, so select them both, grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of the last in a row pink swatch. When it's done, let's add the ears. So let's select the same color as the face one, grab the ellipse tool and create an ellipse. We will sharpen the top anchor point, so grab the anchor point tool, go to the upper anchor point and let's turn it into the sharp corner. Hover over the same anchor point, hold down the left mouse button and let's smoothen it a little. With the Direct Selection tool, we can select this anchor point once again and we can move it up, thereby creating the shape of the ear. Let's rotate the ear, so get back to the Selection tool and rotate it by dragging one of the bounding box corners clockwise or counterclockwise. If you want to make it bigger, use the Alt key and resize it. Use the Shift key if you want to preserve the proportions. When you are satisfied with the size, let's make the inner part. We will need to create the copy, so use the Ctrl-C, Ctrl-Shift-V to make it and paste it right at the same place. Let's resize it, so hold down the Alt key and drag one of the corners of the bounding box down. Recolor the inner part, so grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of this pink swatch. When you're done, let's select these two shapes together and make the copy on the other side. Grab the reflect tool, put the target onto the guideline, hold down the Alt key and drag the shapes to the other side. Hold down the Shift key to make sure that you are adding it on one line. When it's done, let's select both of the ears and send them backwards. So when they are selected, hit the right mouse button and choose Arrange Send to Back. Now you can group the ears together and play with their placement and maybe the size. And let's add the additional element. It will be the same we made for the dog, but it will be on the right part of the face. Grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of the orange swatch. Grab the ellipse tool and create the ellipse. Select the shape of the head and the new orange ellipse. Go to the left toolbar and select the Shape Builder tool. With the Shape Builder tool, hover over the extra part on the top right, hold down the Alt key and click on it with the left mouse button. As we added the spot on the right part of the head, let's recolor the ear as well. And as we already created the group from the ears, we can't freely adjust one element without changing the other. But we can solve this problem and recolor the ear in two different ways. We can go straight to the group and recolor it from here, or we can ungroup the objects. Let's just go into the group. Click twice on the area with two selected ears. Now you can see that you can freely adjust the shapes separately. So firstly, select the main part of the ear, grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of the orange swatch. Select the inner part, grab the eyedropper tool and copy the appearance of this pale beige swatch. When you're done, go to the upper left corner and click twice on the little arrow to get back to our main document. Now let's select all the face features and group them together. So when they all are selected, hit the Ctrl G on the keyboard and let's play a bit with their placement. If you don't need the guides anymore, you can go to the tab View, Guides and Clear Guides. And that's it for our illustrations. I hope you found this class helpful, and if you liked it, please check out the other classes, give a follow and leave your review. And thanks for watching!